Hey y'all, we're Brandon and Megan Giggling, and we give real talk and real solutions to help you get from where you are to where you want to be.
Whether you are on step 1 or years into your own personal growth journey, we've got the tools you need to level up.
So if you want to stop making excuses, start taking action, and grow into the person you are meant to be, then pop in your headphones and let's do this.
You ready?
This is the Fools in Love podcast. Well, hello, y'all. Welcome back to another episode. I'm so pumped that you're here. Meg, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love to be welcomed to my own show.
I just like to welcome everybody. I think it's important. So today, man, we're going to get into a little bit of a deep topic. And it's really, if I'm being honest, it's been something that's been kind of heavy on my heart. And as I was talking to you about it, it was funny because you were like, yeah, I've been kind of thinking about this too, which is kind of strange when we start to get into what we're talking about. But really, it's the idea of what if tomorrow never comes? What if this life isn't guaranteed? I think we all kind of intuitively know that nothing is guaranteed, whether it's, an opportunity, an effort you put in. I mean, nothing's really guaranteed, but I don't think we so much often think about that time. It really is like a finite resource. Like there only is so much of it. We all get 24 hours in a day, but we don't know how many days we get, on this earth. And I get that could be a little bit heavy for you coming to this podcast right now, but I think it's important to reflect on that. And honestly, as I was thinking about it, I think about the times in my life where that phone rings at like 4 a.m. and you're like, uh-oh, something's wrong. Something's happening. Clearly, it's like, who died? What's happening? What's going on? Why would someone be calling me this early? And it's like you're looking at your phone ringing and it's almost like in slow motion. You don't want to answer it because you don't want to know what's on the other end. But you have to answer it because you have to figure out what's on the other end. It's a really heavy thought. And as I think through it, I think what it was for me that kind of perpetuated this recently is someone we didn't even know. I'll just preface this by we didn't even know them. But someone at our church who was young, like a guy in his 40s, just died. Now, we don't know the circumstance of what that was, but he had a family, he had a wife, and it's like he probably didn't think that was his last day. Guy walk around thinking, hey, I'm 36, almost 37. I had to think about that for a second. And I think I got, so much more in my life left. I have so much time to accomplish the things I want to accomplish. I have so much time to do the things with our kids that I want to accomplish. I have so much time to have the trips that we want to have and do the things that we want to do. But do we really? Do we really have that much time?
Yeah. And I think along with the whole tragedy of the guy from church dying, who I think has had 4 kids, which is just heartbreaking, is another thing that happened that's not nearly so serious is that our daughter started 2nd grade. And I mean, time is flying. I don't think that it's possible that I'm even old enough to have children. And yet I have 2 kids. I've been a mom for over 7 years. And sometimes I feel like I must be like an 18-year-old and who the heck gave me any responsibilities to be a wife, be a homeowner, be a working person, be a mother, any of this. And time is just flying. It's just going so fast. The fact that our daughter is weeks into 2nd grade is unbelievable. And when you think that through, tomorrow will blink. And whether it's actually one day or it's 40 years from now that we have left, we'll blink, it'll feel like, and it'll be over. That's it, game over. And so it's just been an interesting thing for me lately. A few days ago, I left the house and I was in a hurry. I mean, I usually am. I'm just going to be honest. When we leave, we just kind of go. And I threw a love you to Brandon, but I didn't go back to actually kiss him. And then as I got into the car and started on the road, I was like, I just wish, and this is so morbid, I was like, I just wish that I would have given him a kiss and spent one more second saying a real I love you instead of a love you as I was leaving. because I don't know. I mean, I assume that I'm going to drop off Maverick to daycare just fine. I assume that I'm going to get to work just fine. And I assume that he'll pop in soon and I'll see him. But I don't know that for certain. And what if the last thing that I said to him was like a casual love you as I'm like running out the door? And that just kind of broke my heart. So I've just really been thinking about those kind of things recently. Like, have I left this conversation? Have I left this person? Have I left in a way that feels okay if tomorrow actually didn't come, if tomorrow's not guaranteed? And of course, that's not always possible. Things do pop up here and there. But by and large, I want to leave every interaction where I don't feel like I just gypped Brandon or gypped my children from a real love interaction.
Well, and I think it's important too, because as you're talking about it, I think most people, like, we're not saying to like live in fear. I mean, we're not saying sit there and like wonder when you're going to die or wonder when that's going to happen. Like, don't live your life in fear, but do live your life. Because the reality is, and this is morbid, but it's, you don't know when that 4 a.m. phone call is going to be about you. You don't know whether you could go to the doctor next week and get a cancer diagnosis. You don't know when your ability to do the things that you want to do will not be there anymore. If you talk to people at the end of their life, they have regrets about the things they didn't do. They don't have regrets about the things they did most of the time. And it's like they ran out of time because we don't have unlimited time. And I know this, just like you said, you talk about, well, you left, you gave a quick love you slammed the door, you moved on. But when I reflect on that too, I take my family for granted. I take the things I have for granted. I take my kids for granted. I take you for granted all the time. I mean, there's so many times where we counsel y'all, and I feel a lot like a hypocrite because we talk about doing date nights with your partner or like spending quality time with your partner. And a lot of times we don't do that because we're just so busy or tired and we just don't want to. And it takes everything in our power to watch like something on Netflix for a little bit of time and then kiss each other and go to sleep. Maybe not even kiss each other a lot of the time. And it's funny that you said the thing about driving, because I was driving literally the other day, and I know this is just crazy, y'all, but I was driving and I'm like, what if I get hit right now and die? Like, what if something happens right now and I'm just gone? And I have no more. It gets me a little bit choked up even because I'm like, would I have actually lived? Would I have shown the people that I love? Would they know that I love them? Would they know that I was there for them? Would they know that I cared about them and thought about them? Because you think about even family beyond our family that we see every day. Because that's the challenging thing too. You have your family and we get the ability to see each other every day. So whether we're taking each other for granted or not, we're in each other's physical space. So naturally it's easier to have that thing happen. But I think a lot about my family, and most of them live in Michigan and I don't see them. We don't talk enough. There's no way. And if one of them was gone, that would be a big problem for me because I'm not putting in the effort. Because I think they're... Sorry, y'all. Sorry, y'all. But I think we all do this. I think if we're being honest, like most of the time, I think they're busy, whoever it is. I'm inconveniencing them by calling or saying I want to do something or whatever. And so I don't do it because I think, well, later we'll catch up. But y'all, we don't know when that will be. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm getting misty over here, but like we all live that way. A lot of us, if we're being honest, we have resentment for other people. We had fights with other people that were years ago, and we hold on to those things. And what if that person was gone? How would you feel about never reconciling that? How would you feel about never trying to reconcile that? Because let's be real. I mean, like those things that I'm touching on, you don't know that that person's going to reciprocate that, but at least you would have said your piece. At least you would have had your moment. At least you would have tried. And when I was in the car the other day, I thought, it's not so much did I live, but did I really live? Not just I'm breathing every day and my heart's beating and I'm going through the motions and I'm going through the grind, which I will be 100% truthful that is how I feel 99% of the time, that I'm just surviving. I'm not thriving. I'm trying to do the things that I'm supposed to do throughout a day, but am I actually living? And I think we all need to reflect on the fact, like, are we truly living or are we just living?
Right. And I know that for us, this has been one of the concentrations of this entirety of 2021 so far. Like, we kind of had a conversation earlier this year about how often we will avoid doing the things that we want to do, the things that I don't want to say that we should do because that sounds like an obligation, and I don't really mean them like an obligation, but things that we're interested in doing, things that maybe we should do. And we have every excuse in the book, like, the kids are too young, or when the kids are older, we'll do this, or, we can't do it at that time because, we have nap time. It's going to interrupt nap time, and I don't want to deal with cranky kids. And well, let me tell you, a lot of times that it's a very valid excuse for us and for you. If you have young kids, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes it matters, but we let that for years just be like the end all be all. Like, we can't go on an impromptu trip to the zoo because it's too far away. That hour and a half would ruin our nap time. Like, all these things that we just didn't want to do because, it was a little bit inconvenient. And this year we've kind of tried to be pushing ourselves away from that a little bit more. Like, yes, it may be that it's an inconvenience for one day, but what's the overall there? Is that experience worth it? And a lot of times for us, the answer's been yes. So for us, our daughter knows, but our son doesn't know yet. We're traveling to Michigan later this month, and he doesn't know yet that he gets to go. I don't think he even realizes that Brandon and our daughter were originally going, and that is just going to make his life. But originally, I was not going to go, and neither was our son. We were both going to stay home, and we were like, you know what? We don't go to Michigan very often. Let's just take the leap. Like, will it be inconvenient? Will we miss some school? Will we miss some work? Yeah. But honestly, the 3 or 4 days that we'll get to spend with family when we hardly ever do, it's been a year since we've been back. And before that, it had been embarrassingly long. Those things matter. Those things, it's important. It just is important. And so we've been trying to do things that are a little bit out of our normal routine, a little bit out of our normal comfort, despite them not being the best timing for us.
Yeah, and like what I hear you saying, and when I think about it, it's making sure that the time that you have, as limited as it is, that it's worthwhile. Mm-hmm. That the things you do are worth it, that the memories you make are worth it. Are you doing the things with the people you love, and what's preventing you from doing that? I think so many of us spend so much time on things that if later in life we didn't need to be doing those things. Like, we're not going to be at the end of our life like, oh, I wish I would have put some more hours in at the office. We're not going to do that. Like, we're not going to say we wish we would have done this or that for these minuscule things that, if we're all being real with ourselves, take up way too much of our time and way too much of our day.
Gee, I wish I would have scrolled Instagram a little bit more.
Exactly. It's like, what were the things that like were worthwhile? And for me, when I was thinking about it too, and I haven't sat with it long enough, so I don't have an answer yet, but the idea of legacy comes up. Like, did I have the impact that I wanted? An impact we talked about a little last week, but it's a powerful word, because I truly believe that all of our mission should be to leave the world better off than it was before we were there. But are any of us actually living that way? I think many of us, that's a hard pill to swallow, because we spend so much time on the things that don't so much matter, that later in life we'll never care less about. And we don't put in the time that we know, because we're taking it for granted, because we're putting it to the side for later, saying that we'll have the opportunity later, but no one knows that you have that opportunity, y'all. We don't. So we have been proactive. We have, I mean, to the point where this trip Megan's talking about, I mean, I booked the flight for me and my daughter months ago. And then just recently, we're supposed to be going in a couple weeks, and just recently we booked the other 2 tickets. Because money is a barrier. I get it. It's a barrier to entry. But does it cost money to pick up the phone and call somebody? Does it cost money to like send someone a card? Okay, it costs 51 cents or 52 cents, whatever it is. But those things, will you regret them later if you don't do them now? Think through and spend some time with that this week and understand what those things are, and then start moving toward them. Understand that you can't do them all at once, but you can do them all slowly, and you can at least try to accomplish a lot of them. And I bet you'd be amazed at the impact it would have on other people. Y'all, we're all living with so much heavy stuff right now. Dang it. Would you ever be bothered if someone you hadn't heard from in a long time reached out? Would you be bothered if you got a card in the mail from someone you hadn't heard from? I wouldn't. Like, that's the thing. But I think because of that, that's like what consumes me and allows me not to do those things, because I think that's exactly what I'm doing. But then when I think about it for my own life, I'm like, no, heck no. I mean, why would I ever care if someone called? If I couldn't answer, I just wouldn't answer. And then I call them back when I can call them back. But what's it going to be like? Again, I get it. It's hard, but like, what's it going to be like when you go to pick up the phone to call that person and they don't exist anymore? And again, I'm spending a lot of time on people because I feel like the people you surround yourself with and the love you surround yourself with, that's what this life is all about.
Right.
So it's important. It's important to sit with that, and it's important to know that those times and those things and those realities of what you're forecasting in the future past this moment, you don't have. They're fictional. They don't exist. We believe they do based on an age, but we look around the world and we know dang well that stuff happens all the time. People get sick, people die, tragedies happen every day, and then we go back to our own life and we think we're superheroes. We think we're going to live forever.
We think we're invincible.
So whether you believe it or not, your days are numbered. I heard recently on another podcast, I mean, your clock is ticking. It's constantly ticking, and it's not like a stopwatch where you can stop it and go live your life over here for a little while and then come back. No matter what, when you're awake, when you're sleeping, when you're working, when you're doing the things that bring you joy, that clock is constantly ticking, and you don't get that time back. You don't get to go back. Mag touched on our kids. Like, if y'all have kids, you don't get that time back when they're a baby again. And we hear constantly from other parents, like, it goes like that. It's as quick as you can say. Next thing you know, they're driving. Next thing you know, they're gone. And we don't live that way, though. We don't. We know it's real, but then we don't let that actually sink into our hearts and allow it to change our actions.
Right. Like, there are so many times where I feel so irritated with our kids, and I'm like, it'll be so much better when these kids don't need me so dang much. And then on the 14 seconds after I think that thought, I'm like, but then I'll be so dang sad that these kids don't need me so much. It's just crazy. It's just crazy.
I'll leave y'all with this. I was online and I was just seeing if anyone was really talking about this topic and like what people had to say about this topic. And I didn't spend that much time on it, but I did find this anonymous quote. I don't know who said it, but they said, "Your biggest regret will never be that you tried." Let that sit with you for a second. I'm going to read it again. Your biggest regret will never be that you tried. I think there's so much fear. I think there's so much of us like imposing on other people. I think there's so much thought that if we try, what would happen that we don't try anything at all? But my question that I'll leave you with is, do you want to have lived your life, or do you want to live your life? I know we left you guys with a lot of things to think about today, but I want to let you know that it's never too late until it's too late. You have time now, so use it wisely. Use it this week. Use it today. Call that person. Send a note. Do that thing you've been wanting to do. Live, y'all. Live. We love you. We're here for you. If you need anything, you know where we're at, and we'll see y'all next week. Thank y'all so much for listening.
Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
And if you want to be our BFFs, leave us a review. It helps more people find the show and allows us to share our message with the world.
We love y'all.